Welcome to the Mind of Psychic, where we talk music, addiction, comedy, culture. If you like this content, please leave feedback and subscribe. Let's get into it. On this episode, I want to discuss the fascination of true crime. For decades now, maybe even longer, it seems that people are just fascinated by death, how death was committed, how and why people commit crime, etc., etc. Since crime has been a part of human nature since the birth of humans, it's no surprise. We learn things, we get better at them, so on and so forth. True crime aspect of it all, very, very interesting. I mean, for decades now, there's been Dateline shows, 60-minute shows, HBO documentaries, the History Channel, the list goes on. And I don't know about you all, but it seems like true crime, well, it's always been fascinating. It seems like it really took an interest starting with Jack the Ripper. Now, I could be wrong, but it definitely seems like that was like the era of people really, really looking into it in a different form, of course, of actually being there, seeing it, not so much watching it on television, because television wasn't, of course, invented. Neither was the radio at that point, or it wasn't, mass produced, so to speak. So if there was killings, only the community where that crime was committed that was the population that knew about it until it got it in the newspapers, so on and so forth. But it started, I believe, with Jack the Ripper in 1888, if not before then, in London, England. You know about him killing all these ladies of the night, so to speak. Fascinating, very about him, whoever he is. Still not sure who he is. I don't think we'll ever know. It was gruesome, to say the least. Many people also think that H.H. Holmes, considered one of the first serial killers in America. He basically had the murder house, the murder mansion, whatever you want to call it, where it had he had this mansion basically custom made to his liking. And every so often he'd get a contractor in, he'd fire them, or they'd end up missing something like that. But he had this huge, secret fortress of different, he had a basement where it went open floors. So people he could just throw a latch and the people would fall down. So in the basement, he had a furnace, so he could just literally burn anything that's down there. Also, he had special locks. He had special gas pipes going into certain rooms. He had rooms that just didn't go anywhere, that only he knew of. The architecture documents, the plans, what have you, only he knew about him. Very interesting person, to say the least. Most severe of his crimes that he did was murder. The very least, he was a con man, a fraudster, an overall abuser of the system, of being every which way. It was said that he killed upwards of 100 people, if not more, over a 20-year period or something like that. They also thought that he was the Ripper in England, in London. Many people believe this, many don't. There's really no proof, but it's very interesting to think, because of the timeline, it is very possible. Where in the 60s, a man, I think we all know who that is. The 60s were huge with his name, Mr. Charles Manson and the Manson family. Too much to go on with this episode about him, but I'm just naming a few crime killers just to have a foundation to move forward on. So I'm naming him because he was probably the most prominent in this. Now let's move forward about 80 years. In the 60s into 70, 71 with the trials and so on and so forth. Of course, he got life in prison without parole. He was found guilty of all those murders, Sharon Tate, so on and so forth. It grew even further than that. Then you have John Wayne Gacy. That guy was just a horrible individual. I mean, all these people are the scum of the earth. The most depraved, the most psychotic, the most nuts in all of humanity. A lot of them too, very intelligent. Again, he was a very successful business owner. The public loved him. The community loved him because he would dress up as a clown. Since he had a construction business, he would oftentimes hire really young men to help him with his construction business. He ended up drugging them in many cases, doing despicable things to them and killing them, then burying them in his crawl space. There was a number of individuals that were found there that the police finally got him. I mean, they were trying for years. I mean, he did time in prison for some gruesome stuff that I'm not going to mention. But he got out. He started working with his father-in-law at McDonald's. It just progressed and progressed and progressed until he was caught. Then you have one of the most also famous is Ted Bundy. That was also in the 70s. Very charismatic, smart individual. People loved him. Again, he worked with the public in a law firm. He also helped with the Republican Party in Washington, in the Seattle area, if I'm not mistaken. But again, a very, very approachable person. Again, he killed and did despicable things to people. These are all people that you've probably heard of, but this is setting me up for the foundation of the true crime and why people are fascinated by it, especially with those cases. Once television, once radio got out, I think that's when we saw a lot more of the interest in true crime, why people do what they do, psychologists, why they interview serial killers. It's very fascinating. And then the shows started coming on air years and years ago, and then it became its own culturistic type deal. Very addicting. So much so that the whole genre has pretty much overcame most shows. We as humans, we're fascinated by stuff, and it's always not good stuff. We almost want for bad things to happen in a way. And what I mean by that is we're so enamored by this genre and these shows and these programs that we have a need for it. Whether it's good or bad, I think it's entertainment. But the fact is somebody's getting harmed in this, and people are getting paid to put out this content. These shows from 50 years ago about different serial killers, about, robberies, about whatever, the whole crime genre in itself. Then it began, it added, even before that, it added crime shows of like policemen and, some of the top shows in the last 50 years have been police shows, have been cop dramas, have been, FBI behavioral analysis shows, NCIS, stuff like that. And then the documentaries on top of that have skyrocketed in viewership. And now with YouTube, social media, there's pages and pages and channels after channels, podcast after podcasts that are all about true crime. And awesome that, independent people can do that. But what I'm getting at is why do we want it so bad? Why do we want to see this so much? Because at the end of the day, someone's getting hurt, and nobody really, there are people that truly want to hurt people and kill them. And we know those are the scum of the earth that don't belong on this earth. But for most people, I want to say they want good for individuals. They don't want anybody to be hurt. But then again, we have this admiration. We admire these sickos. Wonder why? I mean, I love the fact that more and more with the technology, with all of that comes more information. You learn more. The psychiatrists, psychologists, they're able to study these situations, which, hey, I'm all for. The more we know, the better. Now, I'm not saying doing Minority Reports type stuff and do the pre-crime thing. I mean, I think that's not even into the discussion. It's the fact that we love this stuff so much. And I get, you get home from a hard day at work. Some people want to watch cartoons. Some people want to watch reality shows. Some people are on the internet searching whatever, and then you have people that love the true crime, all types. It's the unknown, I believe, too, especially with the cold cases. Now, I gotta say, for me, I think the cold case, that's the most interesting, because I mean, there are cold cases that are hundreds of years old. And even nowadays, there are some cold cases that are like 50, 60 years old that are actually being solved, which I find completely amazing. To you and me, it's entertainment. To you and me, it's interesting. It's historical. Remember, these are real human beings that have been messed up for the rest of their lives, psychologically, physically, what have you, or they're not on this earth anymore. Whether you can say that's for better or worse, who knows? I mean, living with that, if you've escaped that, a horrendous crime like that, you would, I don't know how one person's mind frame would be. Of course, each person is different, but and I'm sure it's all over the world, but we as Americans, we as I think the Western society love this genre. It's almost like we're playing a game in a way, because we're so into it. We're trying to guess. It's like an investigation on our own screen. We're like, okay, you can see where this is going. Oh, he did it, or you know what he's doing next, that sort of thing. Just like the whole movies, like you're trying to play out what's going to happen at the end. It's almost the same sort of thing. I mean, they even have games revolving around this same genre. I mean, it's a billion-dollar industry of entertainment. And now researchers are going back years and years and years to figure out very old cases again. And you got to admire these people. You got to admire these behavioral analysis, especially with the FBI. It's very intriguing. Like I said at the start of this, we need good people. We need intelligent people. We want people that think out of the box to try to stop this. Now, if we had the choice of learning as much as we can about why people do what they do, and we can prevent it in many ways, in theory, that sounds awesome. But there's also this thing called freedom. Can't do that whole Minority Report thing. The pre-crime, I really don't think that would go over too well. I know they're probably trying that, and I'm sure it's in its baby infancy stages of them even testing the waters. Pretty sure it's illegal. Pretty sure in the Constitution you don't have that. Anyhow, but we know in the last few years of what's been going on. But the whole case of the love for crime, it's not going away. Most of us understand that it's a real thing and it's sad, but we also love it and enjoy it and want to understand more. We want more of it, more of the content to come out, especially like on YouTube. There are so many people, just like podcasts, there are so many people in this genre that you get all different takes, way more than when you had the 2 shows a week on, let's say, John Walsh, his show, America's Most Wanted, or the 60-minute shows on Sunday, how they would they would have programs on a particular situation, a particular crime. There's all of these things. Now there's channels, of course, on actual cable news channels that have this, and it's just designated true crime. There's a lot more that is coming out now than ever before because of these independent researchers doing their due diligence, spending years and investigating these things. So with that, I think it's awesome. And I think we can all agree that it's bad for someone to kill, for someone to harm. And these people belong in a special place. And I'm not going to explain what that place is. I think we all know. We just need to be understanding with the fact that as much as we love all this stuff, it's become a part of our society where it's okay to watch. And some people that are younger and see all this, they may get a different feeling about it, such as we all know about when these serial killers and these people, these just straight up animals, what they've done in their preteens and that sort of age group. They've started with killing animals. It's been a progression to that killing in a way. They started off acting different than other people. For the most part, they were definitely different different individuals. They probably had a lot of bullying, or they were very non-verbal, meaning they didn't hang out with a lot of people. There wasn't that camaraderie of friendship, of family. Not saying all of them, but a good few grow up differently and have a different mindset. So if you can't curb that at a young age, well, it turns into what we see. So if we can start off, and we've done, I think as a society, we've done a really good job of finding signs when kids act a certain way, when they start behaving in a certain way. There's a lot more look and understanding and development in helping these kids, because a lot of times they don't know what they're doing in their thinking. So if we could, and a lot of times too, that they're bedwetters, that they're messed with at a young age, their brain doesn't really know what to do. So there's all of these different factors that come in. Just keep in mind that we all know that this is entertainment. We all know this is evil. We know it. We love it. But just keep an eye out. There are strange individuals in this world that just want to do harm. And it's not fair. We understand that this is not a fair world. However, if we can get more information in the younger years, that may be able to prevent future crimes. I mean, we can enjoy this stuff. I mean, we all do. And I don't think that we should stop. I mean, take for instance, the first 48 hours. I mean, that's been on, probably 15 plus years. I mean, it's probably got 30 seasons or something, and it's very interesting. But most of these crimes are actual crimes. Now you might say, I've listened to this whole 20-minute spiel about true crime. Why am I not getting to the point? Well, the point is, enjoy it all night long. Enjoy it till the cows come home. But also remember that these were real people, and these are families that have suffered and will continue to suffer generations to generations. And that's for the person imposing the harm on the victim and for the victim's families as well. Just feel, and I think a lot of us also feel watching this gives us a different perspective on how to treat others too. With all that said, I'm going to sign off. Don't y'all go committing crimes, these heinous crimes. We can watch it. We can listen. We can YouTube all this stuff. We can Google all the true crime, blah, blah, blah we want. But don't go start committing these things. So with that being said, I'm going to sign off here. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe and leave a comment. You can hear me on all major platforms and socials under the Mind of Psychic podcast. See you next time.